Okay, yeah. As I said, welcome. Thank you for joining our Zoom call, and we are recording this, so I hope everybody's okay with that. Can you all hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. So for those of you I haven't met, I'm Shelley Parham, consultant for the NTF, with a focus on staff recruitment and retention. My experience in racing includes working as a syndicate manager for Harry Herbert and as an amateur jockey for Richard Hannon. Rupert Arnold and I developed the Lycetts Award in 2018 as an opportunity to reward and recognise trainers for their best employee management practice. And this year will be the 4th year of holding these important awards. I'm really grateful to our sponsors, Lycetts Insurance Brokers, George Smith Horseboxes and Farm Supplies. I'm joined by my friend and colleague Dana Meller, who some of you may remember was instrumental in setting up JETS, the Jockey Education and Training Scheme, and also as a very successful flat jockey for Jack Berry and her late father Stan Meller. Dana's been one of the judges for the Lycetts Awards since their inception in 2018. Just to give you a quick idea of the format of this call, we plan to give you a quick overview of the 3 awards, the changes that we've recently made, and then it's over to Dana, who's going to give us an insight into what the judges are looking for. This is going to take roughly 20 minutes, and then there'll be a chance to ask questions at the end. But do please, as we go along, add your questions in the chat box, which Sarah is going to monitor for us, and then we'll get to them at the end. We'll wrap up by outlining the prize giving, which I'm quite excited to say is going to be at Sandown Park this year in September. More details of that will follow. So if I could ask you to put yourself on mute, but could you leave your videos on so we can see you? So kick off, what are the Lycetts Awards? The Lycetts Awards are an industry awards that celebrate racehorse training yards which cultivate secure management practice, excellent leadership qualities, and the best team ethos. What's changed this year? Well, we've listened to your feedback and we've simplified the entry process, you'll be pleased to know. The emphasis is on anecdotes this year and evidence rather than the formal evidence. So we're going to be asking you to tell us some stories. There are 3 award categories. The Lycetts Leadership Award, split into 4 sections, each with their own individual prize for trainers to spend on their business. The Lycetts Team Champions Award for staff. And the Farm and Stable Award for Innovation and Wellbeing for trainers and staff. Finally, a reminder that the closing date is the 30th of June. So you've got 3.5 weeks, guys. Okay, so it's over to Dana to tell us a bit about the Lycetts Leadership Award.
Thanks, Shelley. So the Lycetts Leadership Awards is a new award for 2021, and it's for trainers. And we believe this is a real opportunity to recognise trainers as leaders in our industry. We all know that trainers are horse people. Trainers know that they're horse people. But what is often overlooked is their attributes as the entrepreneur, the business person, the leader. And I think we can all agree that racing provides a fantastic place to be leading in at times, but there can also be some pretty unforgiving times and testing times, and the environment can be quite harsh sometimes when you are that leader. So it's essential that trainers recognise themselves as the entrepreneur, the business person, and the leader. So one of the keys to good leadership is to have solid management practice in place. And this is where not all trainers are quite where we'd like them to be. Once this is secure, the day-to-day firefighting and the stress which accompanies running any business reduces. And I'm sure we're all familiar with that. But once this reduces, the leader, as the trainer, then has the capacity to lead creatively, more imaginatively, and most importantly, with more confidence. Strong leadership then filters through the yard, so we have happy people, happy horses, happy owners. And it's when those two are in balance that that the business thrives and the people thrive. And that's why we want to ensure good management practices in place in order to then judge the Leadership Award. So there are 4 sections to this award, and those of you who've been involved before in the Lycetts Awards will notice that these are based on the winning approach. If you don't recognise these, please don't worry, because we want newcomers, and it's just great to have you on board. So as Shelley mentioned earlier, we've taken a slimline approach this year to the application process, and you'll see on your entry form there are 4 questions to answer in each section. We believe that everybody has a story to tell, whether it's about their first day at work or how they've grown into a role. And these are the stories we want to hear. We want to hear the narrative which emerges from behind your priorities and your practice. And then a winner will be selected from each section, and those winners plus 2 runners-up will go forward to the Lycetts Leadership Award. And that's worth £4,000 to the trainer to spend on the business. So in a moment, I'll go through each section, but for now, this is something else which is new this year, that you can choose which section to enter or submit an entry for each one. So if, for example, you think, you know, we are really good at development and training, that's our forte, that's where we're really strong. And if you're a bit up against time, then go for that section, because there will be a prize of £500 awarded to each winner of the section. And this year, for the first time, we have a big thank you to George Smith Horseboxes, who are sponsoring those sections. So let's start with inclusive recruitment and effective induction. So we're looking for you to demonstrate that your recruitment and induction methods are inclusive and effective. The clue is often in the title. So what do you do to welcome and integrate a new team member? 4 questions on the entry form here. What are your priorities when you recruit new staff? What is your induction process for new recruits? And what works well for new recruits in your yard? And how do you know this? So imagine Chris and Sam are turning up for their first day at work in your yard. They're a bit sleep deprived because they've been maybe a bit anxious about starting a new job, or they might have been on a flight coming over from a different country and had an early start. And maybe they're looking a bit physically weak, and you're wondering how on earth they're going to carry a water bucket, never mind hold a racehorse. What do you do? How do you integrate them into your team? How do you make them feel welcome and assured? And how do you build their confidence in those early days? And then we have the health and safety section, which is how to build a safe working environment. So what steps do you take to ensure your working environment is safe? And how are staff expected to behave to maintain this environment? As with all sections, think about what you already have in place. We're not asking you to reinvent the wheel here. And remember, it's when something goes wrong that questions will be asked. Our main sponsor, Lycetts, is an insurance company, and it's their job to keep employer indemnity down as much as possible. So as judges, we're looking for good practice in health and safety to support this. So the 4 questions in this section are: what do you do to prioritise keeping your team safe? A, physically, B, mentally and emotionally. 2, how does your safeguarding policy work in practice? 3, how else do you create an environment where everyone is safe and able to be themselves? And 4, how does your team know this? So you'll notice we've got a question on safeguarding, and I thought it might just be worthwhile to spend a minute talking about how safeguarding came about, because certainly when I was riding in the 1980s, safeguarding wasn't a word. And even when my father was training up until the year 2000, the discussions around safeguarding just weren't taking place. So safeguarding came about as a response to some historic child abuse cases with tragic consequences, one of them being the Sower murders in 2002, which you may remember. And what they found was everybody knew a little bit of information, everybody knew something, but nobody knew anything, nobody knew everything, and no one person knew enough for the full picture to emerge. So the risk wasn't recognised. and sadly lives were lost. So safeguarding is about everyone taking responsibility for keeping people safe, and to provide a safe reporting process so that any suspicions can be safely reported and the picture can emerge and can build over time. And the dots can be joined up, and you don't need too many dots to be joined up to set the alarm and to put the interventions in place and save lives. So it's about everybody's watching everybody's backs. And rather than asking for your policy this year, we're asking, what difference is this making, and how is your team embracing safeguarding? We're looking for the appointment of a safeguarding lead, so somebody actually takes ownership of this. And we're looking for some collective awareness amongst the team. So maybe through doing the Racing to Learn safeguarding module, or maybe a workshop run by the safeguarding lead. So what's happening? How are you embracing it? How is your team embracing it? And what difference is this making? So then we go on to development and training. How do you foster a culture of learning? And how do you appraise your staff? How are staff encouraged to progress, and how do they know about the opportunities to learn, both individually and as a team? Appraisals, we've had a mixed reaction to appraisals so far, but those who do implement them say they've been really beneficial. And this doesn't have to be too formal. You don't have to sit staff down one either side of a desk in the trainer's office. Appraisals can be done over a cup of tea in the kitchen or bacon roll in the tack room. They don't have to be formal. So the 4 questions in this section are: 1, what are your development and training priorities? 2, how do members of your team know about development and training opportunities? 3, what difference has development and training made to individuals in your team? And 4, how has development and training raised the bar within your team? For example, levels of skill, engagement and loyalty. So by now, our new recruits, Sam and Chris, are embedded into your team, and they're looking to learn and grow. So what opportunities do they have to develop new skills and become more confident, and maybe even become an expert in something? And finally, reward and recognition. So happy staff equals happy horses. How do you recognise the great work and achievements of your team? And how do you ensure that the team members who are doing a great job feel valued? This is not limited to pay structures. And I have to say from the outset that paying staff according to the regulations of the NTF is a given. By all means, tell us that, but we are looking for more. So the 4 questions are around what makes a difference, what makes them smile, what makes them light up. And the 4 questions are: what are your priorities when rewarding your team? How do individuals know that they're being valued? And what difference does this make? And what are the most effective methods of reward and recognition for boosting performance and morale in your team? So by this time, Chris and Sam might be in the Yard monthly newsletter, or they might be congratulated on social media for riding a win or winning a best turned out. Reward can be extra financial bonuses, but they can be financial and financial. They don't have to be financial. So we're looking for examples of how your team have responded to different means of recognition and what difference this makes to them. So I'm going to hand back now to Shelley to talk about the accreditation and the Farm and Stable Award.
Thanks, Dana. Well unpicked. As with the previous years, we've got an accreditation attached to these awards, as well as some great prizes from our fabulous sponsors. High scoring yards will be awarded standard or gold for their approach to staff and business management. We feel this is an industry recognised quality mark that you can use in the recruitment and retention of staff and to attract new owners and sponsors. Our next award is the Farm and Stable Award for Innovation and Wellbeing. This is the 2nd year of running this award, and I'm really grateful to Farm and Stable for their generous sponsorship. This award was born out of an intent to encourage and reward trainers for being innovative in the workplace We want to hear what you have recently changed or introduced to benefit your staff and to demonstrate it has a positive impact on their well-being. Now, this can be a piece of infrastructure, technology, or a change to your working practices. One example for last year was some flexibility around the working day to allow working mothers of school-aged children the opportunity to start later in the day and leave in time for the school run. Other examples included training up a member of staff to act as a staff mentor or providing a pool car. Some other examples were provision of gym equipment and the appointment of a staff nutritionist. The message here is to be bold and be creative, as I'm sure you're already doing plenty of innovation in this area. Farmer Stable have generously sponsored £2,000 worth of products to the winner and very generously offered runners-up prizes as well. This award is for trainers and for the staff. Get your staff involved. They can create the videos or you can create the videos. And as I said there, the evidence needs to be submitted by video, please. So it's back to Dana now to tell us about the Lycetts Team Champions Award, our last award.
Thanks, Shelley. So this is an opportunity for racing staff to tell us about their team and to gain the recognition they deserve. We'd like to hear their stories, which demonstrate why they're part of such a great team and why there is no team quite like theirs. So what makes the difference? Why are they unique? And what are the judges looking for? Well, rather than continue to listen to me, we've decided to play the video, which is available on the NTF website and on Racing Groom.
This year, the Lycetts Team Champions Award recognises the teams of individuals working in British horse racing's professional yards. We want to know why your team should win the 2021 Lycetts Team Champions Award. Tell us your story. How is a team champion decided? There are lots of good factors that make up a great team. No two teams are the same, and we all know how rewarding it is when you're part of a thriving team. So what makes your team so good? Successful teams are ambitious and made up of a diverse group of individuals who feel supported and encouraged to be the best they can be. Embrace challenges, trust, and inspire each other. The best teams problem solve together, communicate well, and love their job. Go the extra mile for their horses, for each other, and for their employer. These teams celebrate and commiserate together. Do you have the best teammates? And would you love to win the Lycetts Team Champions Award? Win £4,000 for you and your team by simply telling us why there is no team quite like yours. For full details and to enter, head to racinggroup.com or racehorsetrainers.org.
So I definitely couldn't put it better myself. So to enter this award, the staff can either send a video via social media or email, or they can write their entry and email it to us. Another change from last year is where previously yards were split into yards with 40 horses and less, yards with 40 horses or more. All entries this year are judged on equal terms regardless of the size of the yard. And this year we want the staff's perspective. As part of their entry, teams will need to include the name of the trainer and a brief reference or testimonial from the trainer. And also any ideas on how they'd like to spend the money. So a few examples from previous years include new or upgraded staff facilities, a new team activity or series of team activities, or some equipment and clothing that will benefit everyone.
Thank you, Dana. Brilliant. Just so to wrap it up, I'd just like to tell you that we this year are holding the awards at the Sandown Park Racecourse, and we'd like to invite winners and their guests, and there'll be more details of that to follow. So that brings us to the end of our presentation, and would like to ask you if you have any questions. Again, if you'd like to type your questions into the chat box, then we could just go through them one by one. Thank you very much for your valuable time and for your interest in the awards. Just a reminder, the entries close at the end of this month. We wish you all luck, but don't hesitate to contact myself at any point if you need any help. Okay, questions?
We'll give you some typing time. You can raise your hand if you don't want to type.
We obviously did a good job doing that.
We've answered all the questions. We just give everybody a minute because I slightly put everybody on the spot.
Dana, we've got one question from Pippa about official entry forms.
About what, sorry?
Official entry forms.
Do you mean how to get them? Okay, so they can be downloaded from the NTF or the Racing Green websites. And they can be printed off, yeah, quite easily. Okay, and it's got all the information that I've been through today is on there.
And Pippa, please feel free. I know this is your first year. I've been trying to get you guys to be involved for a long time after all the good stuff that you do on social media. And I know what a great job you do in the yards. So please do give me a call and I can help run through it.
Okay, thank you. Brilliant. Will do.
Anyone else?
I've videoed it all.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so we can, I'm sure we can send these slides to you as well. We'll try and see, Sarah, maybe we can send this.
I just want to get them involved so that.
Yeah. The thing is to sit down, have a meeting with them. That's the first protocol. Sit down, have a meeting with them, explain how much money's on offer, and just get their feedback and how would they like to do it. And the videos, just to say, don't have to be professionally shot. They can just be taken on someone's iPhone or any other phones are available.
Yeah, and probably it's, I think for the team award, from what I've heard, it's easier sort of not to set a set amount of time to do this, but just if anybody at any point is taken by something they're observing, just get a video shot, and over time get a few video clips which then are put together. That seems to work well.
There's a team award. Sorry.
Harriet.
Yeah, it was just, I think it was just something I was reading earlier on about, would you prefer the entries, if we do video ones, to be posted on social media as well as emailed? I've read things quite quickly, I must admit, so I might have just misread things, but I just saw something about post your entries on social.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's for the Farm and Stable Awards. Farm and Stable are judging that themselves. So they would like you to put those videos up. I think it helps to promote their awards. For the Teams Award, Teams Champions, we'd rather you just sent that to us, and then we'll ask for your permission to put that up on social media at a later time.
And with the Team Champions Award, that can be videoed or written out. We're going to look at both. But either way can be emailed.
Yeah. So sort of maximum is 5 minutes for those videos, please.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Harriet. Anyone else?
It looks like you're free to ask anything on Twitter as well. So if you do come up with different questions, or email Shelley if you think on reflection, as you're going through the application, the award, if you have questions, please do contact Shelley or ask on Twitter, and Sarah will respond. But I hope that's given you a bit of insight from me as a judge. I have to say, every year it's incredibly difficult to judge these awards. We really are put through our paces and tested to our limit because there's so much good practice to choose from.
I know you guys are used to deadlines, so it's a bit like the declarations. They'll all be coming in at the last minute.
Yeah.
that works, but
Well, we're used to that, so that's not a problem. But I
and
think
also,
doing it over time does reduce the pressure, the stress of it.
yeah, but please just or you just want some help at the last minute. And could you encourage anyone else to do it as well, if you could? I know everyone's very competitive, but the more we can spread the word, the better.
Yeah, but bring a friend along to the Lycetts Award.
Yeah. Okay, so I think if there's no more questions, we'll wrap that up. But please, as I say, do send anything else in if you think about anything retrospectively, or don't hesitate to get in touch with me. My email address you should all have, but it's s.perham@racehorsetrainers.org. Looks like Sarah's typing it up now. It's on the NTF website. Okay, thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you everyone for joining and taking time to get involved. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let us shout out to our sponsors as well. Thank you all our sponsors, Lycetts, George Smith and Farm and Stable. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.